Hello, my name is Zane, and I'll be talking to you about the dangers of fracking. So dangerous that it's putting radioactive materials into your water. First, you have to know what fracking is. So essentially, a straight hole is drilled deep into the earth. Then the drill curves and bores horizontally, making an L-shaped hole. The fracking fluid, which is a mixture of water, chemicals, and sand, is pumped into the hole at high pressure, fracturing layers of shale rock above and below the hole. Gas or oil that's trapped in these rocks then rises to the surface and along with the fracking fluid. This here diagram shows how it works. A well is placed at the top and goes through our water table, which is where the problem comes. And then beyond that, it goes to shale, which is then has the fracking fluid pumped into it. That breaks up, allowing for the natural gas to rise up to the surface and be extracted. This fracking fluid is what's so dangerous. It's now also contaminated with heavy metals and even radioactive elements from underground. It is frequently dumped into unlined ponds. It may seep into aquifers and overflow into streams, poisoning the water for people, agriculture, and livestock. Gas may also seep from fractured rocks or from the well into aquifers. As a result, water flowing from household taps can be lit on fire. Other documented harms include exhausted freshwater supplies because it's being taken to be turned into fracking fluid, air pollution from drills and gas pump rigs, large methane emissions that aggravate global warming, earthquakes even, believe it or not, and health harms including cancer and birth defects. The USGS estimates that 1.5 to 16 million gallons of water are used per well, and the contamination of the water becomes so bad that if it goes through a treatment plant, it can't even clean it. A new report published by Physicians for Social Responsibility and Concerned Health Professionals of New York brought together findings of over 1,700 studies, articles, and reports tying fracking to activities that host a ton of health problems, including birth defects, cancer, and asthma. This is why the switch must be made. One of the first things you can think of is a ground source and air source heat pumps. The ground source approach uses heat energy from the sun that is stored a few meters below ground. The air source systems take heat energy from the atmosphere. For gas fracturing, it does not require a large amount of water, and it reduces the need for chemicals that are used in fracturing. Gas fracturing is liquid propane gas. So essentially, it takes propane gas, turns it into a liquid, as you could tell by the name, and then is then shot into where the fracking would go, but once it gets down there, the liquid turns into a vapor. Then it comes up with the natural gas and allows for a cleaner extraction. The American Petroleum Institute explains that using an LPG also does away with the need to pump the water back up to the surface after fractures have been made. Because unlike water, the gel does a disappearing act underground. It reverts to a vapor due to heat and pressure, and then when it returns to the surface, along with the natural gas, it can easily be collected, reused, and even resold. Now, we need to ban fracking. The Environment America is a public interest group that is dedicated to stopping fracking. They have many representatives that need your voices to be heard. Americans Against Fracking is a national coalition attempting to stop fracking. There are many organizations dedicated to the banning of fracking. A simple Google search will put you in connection with all of them. There's also plenty of other groups other than these two. A study by Annual Reviews found that continuation of fracking could slow the adoption of renewable sources, and if it's done poorly, it will release toxic chemicals into the water and the air. EnergyGov claims that under ideal conditions, a heat pump can transfer 300% more energy than it consumes. In contrast, a high-efficiency gas furnace is about 95% efficient. Heat pumps powered by electricity, so that it's so much easier to save on fuel consumption versus having to use natural gas. So what can you do to help stop fracking? First, you can contact a senator and express your concern. Next, you can protest any pro-fracking movements. And finally, you can just provide support for any of these anti-fracking groups. I implore anyone who has heard this speech today to go out and act on it. Because if we don't do anything, nothing's going to change, and the problem will only get worse and worse and worse until Earth is destroyed. Thank you. Here are my references.